Lynx. A lot of people have been claiming this might be the React Native killer. So is this framework really going to replace React Native in the near future? Let's take a closer look. So back in March, the company ByteDance, yep, the same company that runs TikTok, developed their own in-house open source mobile native framework called Lynx. It's a cross-platform UI framework that lets you write apps using web technologies we're all familiar with, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, but with true native performance. So in this video, we're going to take a deeper look into Lynx, see how it works, test it out for ourselves, and I'm going to give you my honest opinion on whether it can actually replace React Native in the future, so stay tuned for that. So first of all, how is Lynx different from React Native? What sets Lynx apart is their custom rendering engine and their dual-threaded architecture that keeps animations buttery smooth and improves initial load times. And it also uses a CSS markup that looks exactly like web, but it's optimized for native as well. And ByteDance claims that Lynx is already being used to power certain parts of the TikTok app, like the TikTok shop section. And it has even been used for live streaming special events. So for ByteDance, this isn't just some experimental toy, they're swearing by it. So let's take a closer look of how Lynx works and what's under the hood. To understand the difference, we first need to understand how React Native works. Since React Native is written in JavaScript, it connects with the native architecture through something called the JavaScript bridge. And React Native offloads almost everything to the JavaScript bridge. This includes user events like gestures, taps, and scrolling. What Lynx does differently is that it uses a dual runtime system. A background runtime is used for running most of the app's code, but there's a special main thread runtime for high priority stuff like gestures and animations. They call this main thread scripting, or MTS. And here's how it works with a visual example. In a React Native app, your UI events happen on the main thread, but your JavaScript runs on a background thread. So every tap, scroll, or drag has to jump between threads before the UI updates. Those jumps introduce tiny delays, sometimes just a few milliseconds, but that is enough to make fast gestures feel sluggish, especially on low-end devices. On Lynx, this issue is eliminated because instead of sending everything to the background thread, Lynx lets you run small privileged scripts directly on the main thread. Take a look at the scroll function, for example. This function works, but it's slow because it updates the scroll state on the background thread. In Lynx, by simply putting main thread before the rest of the function body, we get direct DOM updates on the main thread. This results in zero delay, no lag, and native-like scrolling. But wait, isn't running JavaScript on the main thread dangerous? Yes, if you run too much on the main thread, you will block everything. Don't do that. That's why Lynx enforces strict rules. First of all, main thread functions are isolated. You can't just call background functions from them. Second, they can only access small serializable data, so no room for giant objects slowing things down. And third, they're meant for microtransactions only. That means gestures, animations, or quick style updates. Everything else runs on the background thread. And if you do need to exchange data, Lynx also gives you APIs like run on main thread to call main thread functions from the background, or run on background to send heavy work back to the background thread. So Lynx doesn't explicitly restrict you from doing that, but you should still use these functions cautiously. But basically, the gist is you get to choose what runs where instead of React Native's everything through the bridge model. Another big selling point of Lynx is the instant first frame rendering feature, or IFR. Simply put, IFR lets your app display meaningful content immediately after the splash screen instead of showing the typical blank or white screen you see with many other cross-platform frameworks. This is possible, again, thanks to Lynx's dual-threaded architecture. While the background thread handles data preparation, the main thread can render the first frame instantly using whatever data is already available, creating an illusion of a true native zero-delay app launch experience. By using this architecture internally, ByteDance has reported 2 to 4 times faster launch times and much smoother gesture handling compared to their web and React Native surfaces. And another cool feature is the ability to write HTML-style markups with plain CSS inside of Lynx. This also includes more advanced CSS features like gradients, mask image, transitions, and animations. So let's install Lynx and take it for a spin. Setting up Lynx is super easy. You can install it with your favorite package manager. I'll use Bun in this case. Now, the next step differs whether you're developing on iOS or Android. For this example, I will use iOS, but you can find installation instructions for Android as well. First, we need to install the pre-built Lynx binary called Lynx Explorer, and then extract the downloaded archive. Next, launch the iOS simulator and drag the Lynx Explorer into it. Now, navigate inside the Lynx project we created before. From there, run the installer, and finally run dev to start the project. You will see a QR code showing up in the terminal along with a URL. Copy this URL and paste it inside the Lynx Explorer app. And there you have it. We now have a project running, and as you can see, if I change something, it also supports hot reloading. We can even add a simple CSS animation and apply it to the logo, and this will update in real time. On their main product page, Lynx features some interesting tutorials, like building a 2-column waterfall gallery or a snappy product detail carousel. Both tutorials showcase Lynx's dual-threaded architecture, particularly its main thread script feature, which allows buttery smooth animations and gestures. If you're curious about trying Lynx hands-on more closely, these tutorials are a great place to start. Another key point to mention, Lynx currently isn't a standalone cross-platform framework like Expo or React Native. Instead, it runs inside a native container called the Lynx View. The Lynx Explorer browser we used earlier is mainly for development and testing. In production, you would integrate the Lynx View directly in your app's native code. And Lynx also has an official guide on how to do this if you're interested. So is Lynx a potential React Native killer? Well, not yet. While its architecture and its performance optimizations are exciting, Lynx is still very early in its open source journey, and it's missing many higher level components and APIs needed for a fully Lynx-only native app. That said, ByteDance is actively improving it, and the community is also growing fast, so in a year's time, it could very well be a serious contender. For now, if you want to boost performance in specific parts of your app, embedding a Lynx view for high interaction surfaces like feeds or carousels could be a great starting point. In any case, it's going to be exciting to watch how Lynx evolves. So what do you think? Have you tried integrating Lynx in your own native app? Let us know in the comments down below. And if you like these types of breakdowns, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. This has been Andres from BetterStack, and I will see you in the next videos.